Alright guys, so I just want to take a few minutes to go over the fence system on my new saw. So I took some time since the last video and just ran a few pieces of laminate just to fill in this little area here. And what that did was gave me a nice smooth surface to attach my tape measure. So I did, since the last video, rebuild this and use some 2-inch birch is what I actually used. And instead of the little round dial, now I have the little knob, which works so much better. So first of all, I want to tell you guys that when I set out to build this thing, I set out to design a fence system that was going to actually compare to my regular fence. And guys, I think I've actually exceeded it, because this is actually more rigid than my stock table saw, and it's actually easier to lock than my stock table saw as well. You know, this little knob here, this is all it takes. Going from there to there locks this thing, and it locks it not only the back, but it actually locks the or the front. It also locks the back, because there's a little block here at the back that I've got it bolted in place that actually engages the back right at the last minute. And then when I just kind of give it that last little cinching down here, what I did to set that block is I just, I slid it over and I just kind of just started to tighten it. And then I set that block, and then that last little bit is where that block engages. So it's working out just beautiful. It's just making it so that, this fence won't even budge at the end. It's just as rigid gets. As you can see, I've got the tape measure set in, and I've also found a piece of acrylic there, and all I did was scratch a little line on it. It's hard to see it here, but there is a little line there, as you can see. And this was my attempt at making a couple of grooves. Didn't do very good, but it's actually a lot, it looks worse than what it is. So I'm probably just gonna leave it. It's just cosmetic, little fracture there. But this thing also too, as you can see, like I can micro set it. Like if I want it to be right there, then this is locked right there, and it doesn't try to pull one way. If I want it to go just a little wee bit further, then you can see I can just lock it down, and it stays right in that perfect spot, and it goes perfectly straight every time. This was actually pretty easy to set. All I did was slide it over to this rail. Line this up with the rail. I tightened it so that it tightened this clamping system. And then all I did was make this, there's enough play in these bolts that I could straighten it against that track. And then I just cinched these 2 bolts up. And essentially that's as hard as it was to set the alignment on this thing. And I've done some test cuts, and it's just cutting perfect, as you've seen in the first of the video. So, yeah, really happy with the way this is. It's going. It really only takes a few 6-inch bolts, only 2 5 6-inch bolts, and a simple and a couple of 5/8 a bolt and a nut. This is probably the best part of this thing. I want to try to show you without taking it apart. I'm probably going to have to do another video and take this thing apart to show you how this is clamping. So when I pull this out, you can see that there's a block here and a block here. Well, this is what's hooked to the main saw. Well, this is my clamping mechanism right here. This is bolted together. I didn't even glue it, guys. It's just bolted. And what happens is when I turn this little knob, it's actually pushing against a little block in there that pushes against this. And that's what it locks it in place, so that the nut or the bolt head doesn't come in contact with this main frame like my original video I did there a few years ago. So I'm basically doing the exact same thing. So that's why it's able to engage the end. I probably got about 1/8 of an inch movement there, or close. But when I engage this, you see, it pulls the whole fence system back a little bit. And then right at that last minute, this little block engages, so then it locks both ends. So I'm going to pull this out now and just show you what goes on the inside here. I'll just set it up on top here. So there's actually, I got to get the light on it, guys, so you can see this. So there's a little block inside of there, and I had to make a square block, and the reason being is if it was a round block in there, then what happened was when I turned the little knob, then it would rotate the little round block, and then that would cause it to try to creep. But by having the square block in there, just kind of set in there, then what it does is it's not able to turn, so it just tightens it really. It just tightens it without making any movement. And then to hold that block in there, all I did was just preset a little screw in the corner of it so that it doesn't fall out on me. So pretty straightforward little fence, only a couple of pieces, but it takes a few minutes to, get things precise so that your clearances are right on the end. But once I got this figured out, like, this is a really good working fence system, and I look forward to using it. So now, guys, in the next videos, what I'm going to do with this thing is it's time to start taking advantage of these tracks, and we're going to make a nice sled system for this and just see where it goes. And the other thing is I may end up putting a few rubber wheels on this thing and putting a motor on it, and making a little power feeder for this table, because of these nice tracks on either side. It's easy for me to clamp down on both sides, so therefore I can put spring pressure with rubber wheels like I did on that other one, and it wouldn't be hard to make a clamping system that just overlapped this on the end, so that it would I'd be able to do that. But that's for another video. So hopefully you guys had fun watching. Hopefully you'll keep tuning in, and thanks for watching this video.